Namaste and good morning, everyone. Let's start our Saturday class where we go through the Yog Sutras written by Rishi Patanjali. So let's do the prayers first. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. Om Bhurбhavасва Tatsavitra Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat Asto Ma Sadgamya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya Mrityorma Amritam Gamya Om Sahnavavatu Sahnabhanatu Saviryam Karvavai Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahi Om Shanti 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 Om. Let's open our books. Last week we finished our class with verse number 47 and chapter 2. And Rishi Patanjali is talking about Ashtanga Yoga over here for us. So he's telling us the benefits of following Ashtanga Yoga. And the definition beautifully he's telling us. In 46, say beautiful definition of an asana. Sathiram Sukham asana. A stable and comfortable posture is asana. Asana. And from that comfortable posture, what really happens? What do we get? So verse number 48. Tataha dvandvanabhighatah. Tata means from that asana, perfect asana, dvand, pairs of opposites. Anabhighatah, an means not, like a lack of. Abhi means from all around, from every direction, every respect. Ghat means injury. So lack of injury. Anabhighatah. From that comes lack of injury caused by the pairs of opposites. Pairs of opposites. And we know the pairs of opposites are heat and cold, sukh and dukh, man and apimana. All kinds of pairs of opposites. So Rishi Patanjali is proclaiming here that mastery over asana enables us to remain free from injury also. Injury. So it's a monumental claim that after attaining victory over asana, a yogi is no longer subdued by the pairs of opposites. Nothing is pleasant or unpleasant. The experience, the yogi walks into the life. So total stability. And it's not just only the asanas which we are familiar with. The other yogic techniques also, when we master over them, this is what happens. For example, tratak. Perfection over the practicing tratak is like a focusing gaze directly for a long time. Or even kumbhaka. Or other asanas also. We are familiar with a lot of Hatha Yoga asanas. So a yogi grounded in asana takes a dip in the fountain of bliss actually. That bliss makes him comfortable and happy. So no need for pleasure from the outer world. And asana enables us to transcend pain only when we practice it accordance with the rules. So that's why learning it from a proper guide is very important, proper guru. There are thousands of postures. Some postures we use to heal our physical body. And some postures help our psychological body too. So that's why we got to know which asana to do when. Make sure it's suitable to your proper and specific needs and arrange them properly and do them with a full faith. So we have to practice these properly. And they even say that once you understand what you need to do, the timing of the asanas, when to do it, in which sequence to do it, that's all will bring the mastery in your practice. And the range of our comfort continues to expand until we are prepared to practice asana with a high degree of intensity. So in the beginning, we don't do it with intensity. In the beginning, we are trying to learn our body also, trying to understand what we are doing. But eventually, we learn how to do effortlessly. Make the effort effortlessly. And that is a major accomplishment. But bringing the claims of Patanjali within the realm of our personal experience requires that we enhance the intensity of the practice. So sometimes in certain asanas, voluntarily we got to apply resistance too. And intensity and resistance, they are applied by combining asana with the bandhas, mudras, pranayama. That's how the intensity increases.
No, I don't need anything.
I think you are.
But do the agnisar, it's also part of the yogic practice. The major organs, they get cleansed, detoxified. Our colon, our kidney, liver, lungs. So this is what Rishi Patanjali is promising us over here. So this master practice fills our body with vitality, strength, and stamina. We restore the link between our heart and brain. We become very stable, comfortable in our body. And this is the quality we must cultivate in our body before we practice even pranayama. Because next is pranayama. Okay, so far we have looked at yam, niyam. Then asana, now pranayama. Okay, so he has been telling us that practicing it with a firmness. All the yams and the niyams. He went through 5 yams, 5 niyams for us. And now let's look at pranayama. What does he tell us about pranayama? Verse number 49. Tasmin sati shvasa prashvasayor gati vichchhedah pranayama. So it's a definition of a pranayama. Tasmin, after that. So after that means a still and steady posture is important to do the pranayama. So after that, sati, only then shvasa, inhalation, prashvasayor, exhalation, gati, movement or speed, vichchhedah, controlling, elimination, or it could be in stopping also, vichchhedah, pranayamah, So that is a pranayamah. That's a composite of pran and ayam. Pranayama. Okay. So pran, we know it's a fundamental principle of pulsation, life force. And ayam is a means from every direction, in every respect. And yam means stretching, expansion. So that's why you can call it the expansion of the life force. Pran, ayam. So complete mastery over the roaming tendencies of inhalation and exhalation is pranayama. It is to be practiced only after mastering the asana. Okay. So in a particular asana, we sit down. It could be a siddhasana, sukhasana, vajrasana, okay, padmasana. But the asana has to be, the back has to be erect, stable. So this is one of those sutras where the nature of language prevents us from deciphering the precise meaning. So that's why I said the meaning of pranayama is very important. So expansion or stretching of pran, the life force. And the process of expanding our life force, according to this sutra, is accomplished by gati vichchhedah. Gati vichchhedah, stopping the movement of our inhalation and exhalation. So expansion of the life force could also be accomplished by disconnecting the movement of inhalation from the movement of exhalation. So there are several interpretations of this gati vichchhedah. But we know that when inhalation and exhalation stop, we can die. So that's why we got to understand or do it properly. Not to hurt ourselves, but to help ourselves. So the first two words of this sutra, tasmin sati, really solves the riddle over here. Only then it's like you are fully aware of your body, you have full control over your body, and you are dedicated to this practice. So dynamics of pranayama is described. Perfection in yoga comes from attaining mastery over the mind and prana. Yoga without paying attention to our mind is not yoga. But mind is so subtle, but we can definitely, in between our body and mind is the prana. So that's why paying attention to the prana is very important. So mind and prana are twins. They are mutually dependent on each other. They go together actually. Wherever prana goes, mind goes. Wherever mind goes, prana goes. When one is disturbed, so is the other. So the stability of one stabilizes the other. So since prana is grosser than the mind, grosser thing we can have a better control. So try to control your prana. And mastery over the mind does not mean arresting our mind. Nor does mastery over prana means arresting our prana. You remember in the second verse of the first chapter, when he defined yoga for us, he said we attain mastery over the mind by arresting its roaming tendencies. Yoga chit vrittih nirodha. So here he is telling us we attain mastery over prana by arresting its chaotic functions. So we got to look at that. So mind, if it's not in our control right now, spend some time every day to control our prana. Prana is the fundamental principle of pulsation. It is like a ripple of the life force, beginningless, unending. It is self-intelligent, like a primordial Prakriti. In fact, in our own bodies, in its unmanifest state, it's referred as Kundalini Shakti also. It is vibrant, intelligent force that breathes life into matter. So you can say that prana is not our creation. We are its creation. It is as pervasive as Ishwar and as omniscient. And following divine will, prana manifests in us in different grades and degrees. And as human beings, we have been given the power and privilege to further awaken and gather prana shakti. We have that power. We can fill ourselves with a higher degree of vitality, vigor, strength, stamina, intelligence. And we can accomplish all this through the practice of pranayama. The most tangible and identifiable movement of prana is the breath. Okay? So cannot control the prana, but prana is being carried by our breath, and we can control the breath though. We can breathe in deeply. We can breathe in slowly. We can control our exhalation. We can control that breath inside. So breath is the grosser form. So from the physical and the biological standpoint, prana means breath actually. So prana is being carried by the breath. And every aspect of our body is directly connected to the breath. We are able to sustain our body and bodily functions only as long as we breathe. Even a minor fluctuation in our breathing pattern will disrupt the bodily normal functions. According to the yogic scriptures, by regulating our breath, we regulated all our biological processes. So that's why pranayama requires a higher degree of training than asanas. Asanas we can watch and we can copy. Pranayama, we have to pay more attention. What are we doing? But at the same time, pranayama is a lot more rewarding also. In our general class, we practice yoga asanas for 45 minutes, pranayama maybe for 10 minutes. But the benefits are super. But Rishi Patanjali is telling us that pranayama can be practiced only after we are established in us. And it is also important to remember that the scope of asana is limited if it's not accompanied by pranayama. So I often say that no yoga class is a yoga class if it's not done or accompanied by pranayama. Pranayama is must. And practice of pranayama begins with arresting our irregular breathing patterns. Breath is the link between the body and the mind, as well as the balancing factor. When a disturbing thought arises in the mind, our breathing pattern becomes erratic, shaky, noisy, and shallow. That's why calming the breath involves breathing deeply, evenly, without jerks or noise. That is a calm breath. And deep, even breathing restores the body's natural equilibrium. If the breath fails to summon its innate wisdom and power, we breathe mechanically only. So according to this sutra, arresting the mechanical movement of the breath and infusing the breath with conscious awareness is pranayama. That means you got to bring your mind, connect your mind. Remember what you are doing. Otherwise, mechanically, we are breathing all the time. The heart of pranayama practice is called prana samrodha, methodical restraint of prana. And this is the process by which we identify, capture, and pull pranic movement to a designated area of our body and confine it there. The yogic term for cultivating sensitivity to the subtle counterpart of physical breathing is called prana samvedana. So if you study Hatha Yoga, Deepika, or other Hatha Yoga scriptures, you will find this terminology. So the practice of prana samvedana, that means learn to feel the breath's natural movement and experience how the breath is affecting a particular region. It's like a details of our subtle breathing. And the process of identifying and pinpointing these subtle details is technically known as prana anusandhan. So these three terms, prana samrodha, prana samvedana, and prana anusandhan. And this practice of prana anusandhan, it consists of a set of 7 pranayams. In this coming Wednesday, I'll be going over these 7 steps in that general class. Prana Anusandhan. Today, I'm going to just tell you the names of it. Adharan Pranayam, Samikaran Pranayam, Dirgha Prashvasa Pranayam, Nadi Shodhan Pranayam, Anulom Pranayam, Vilom Pranayam, and Pratilom Pranayam. So these 7 pranayams are not designed to arrest the movement of our breath and confine it to a particular region. Instead, they help us become more familiar with our breath. Because we got to pay attention, know our breath to get the benefit of working with our breath. We got to strengthen our breathing apparatus. Identify the baseline of our comfort in breathing. See, just like in the asanas also, I told you last week, we got to know the baseline first before we increase the intensity. The same thing we got to do with our Pran Shakti also. We got to approach the threshold of our discomfort. We got to enable us to cross the threshold of discomfort comfortably. Just like I said, effortlessly making an effort. With pranayama, we got to increase the threshold of discomfort comfortably in order to get full benefit. And what does this prana anusandhan does for us? It increases our vitality, vigor, stamina, endurance, which we really need for advanced pranayams. Because advanced pranayams, they all include the breath retention. Otherwise, we are just holding the breath not properly. We are not doing the inhalation fully. We are not familiar with the exhalation either. So that's why we don't get the benefit. Because the next verse is about the advanced pranayama, where the kumbhak is 2 kumbhaks you apply. Inner kumbhak also, outer kumbhak also. So let's look at that verse also, verse number 50. Bahyabhyantara stambha vrittih deshakala sankhyabhih paridrishto dirghasookshmah. Bahya, external, that means outside the body. Bahya. Abhyantar, internal, inside the body. Stambha, stopping wherever it is. It's like a immobilizing. And suddenly, stambha, vrittih, movement, revolving tendencies. Desh means a place or a space. Kal means time. Sankhya means numbers. Paridrishto, fully seen, properly monitored. It's like when you survey something in every respect, that's called paridrishto. Dirgha, long, prolonged. Sukshmah, the subtle. So pranayama with breath retention could be threefold. External, internal, or stopping the breath. Wherever it is, each is monitored by space, time, and number. And each is characterized by its length and subtlety. So Rishi Patanjali describes 3 kinds of pranayams here. External, internal, and stambha. Bahya, abhyantara, and stambha. Stopping wherever it is. Each involves kumbhak. Kumbhak is a breath retention. Holding the breath after completing an exhalation is external kumbhak. Holding it after an inhalation is internal kumbhak. So after inhalation, holding it, internal kumbhak. After exhaling and holding it, external kumbhak. And holding it suddenly in the middle of either an inhalation or exhalation, suddenly is a stambha vrittih kumbhak. So these 3 advanced pranayams are steps towards meditation and samadhi actually. Patanjali assumes that a yogi who has reached this level of yoga sadhana is familiar with the practice of that prana anusandhan, the lower levels of pranayams. So these yogis have built a strong foundation for practicing these 3 advanced pranayama techniques, which he is presenting over here. So how do we do external kumbhaka? First of all, you got to have a very comfortable sitting position. Back straight, shoulders relaxed. You exhale gently, slowly, without noise or jerk. So it's like keep on exhaling. When your exhalation is complete, you close both the nostrils with your fingers. So one side with the thumb, the other side with the ring finger and the pinky. So you got to close it after you have exhaled fully. Hold your breath to your full capacity. Then release the nostrils and inhale gently. That is a Bahyabhyantara pranayama. But make sure when you inhale, you do it gently, slowly, smoothly, and soundlessly. At the end of the inhalation, exhale slowly and repeat the cycle. This process must be monitored by space, time, and number. Monitoring the space means becoming aware of the regions of the body where you feel your exhalation begins. It's not a space like where you are sitting. It's a space inside your body. Take your mind there. And as you continue exhaling, your breath moves away from the place where it began until it reaches a particular point in the space outside of your body. So, okay. And normally you will see that when you do pranayams, your eyes will close. You are just looking at the inside of your body with your eyes closed. You use your inner eyes to visualize. And you got to maintain awareness of that point in the space while retaining your breath. And at the culmination of the retention, begin inhaling from the exact point in space where you can find your breath outside of your body. Outside of the breath, body could be right here in the nostrils because that's where you are breathing from. So breathe out, keep your mind there, and then breathe in again from there. Continue until you reach the space inside your body where your exhalation began. And at the completion of your inhalation, begin the next cycle of external retention. This is how external breath retention is monitored by space. So practicing external breath retention while observing the area covered by the practice, both inside and outside your body, is easy for those who have practiced the lower pranayams first, and which is called pran anusandhan. So that's why those 7 steps I'm going to be covering in Wednesday class. And what does time mean? Because he said space, time, and number. By time means timing the movement of your exhalation, retention, and inhalation. Timing. In other words, in addition to maintaining awareness of where in the body your exhalation began, how much space it covered before it reached its destination point outside of your body, then how your inhalation returned to the point of origin, you also need to pay attention to the time involved. As a general rule, you retain your breath twice as long as you exhale. general rule. And inhale for 1/4 as long as you retain. Okay. So the ratio between, because you start with the exhalation, so 2, hold is 4, and inhale is 1. So if it takes 20 seconds to exhale, retain the breath for 40 seconds. And while inhaling, cover the same space in 10 seconds. Okay, so inhaling is going faster, holding is longer, exhaling is longer than inhalation. And it has to be done without noise, jerks, and discomfort. So if there's a discomfort, just do it little slowly. And monitoring by number is the next step. So remember I said space, time, and number. So he says number as a tool for monitoring the breath. So that means counting. But normally when we count, some numbers do take longer than the other numbers to say. Because sometimes people say, no, I'm going to just keep on counting. So for example, when we say 2, it doesn't take as long as when we say 27. So either you just count only up to 10 and start over again. But the other problem with counting with the numbers is your mind is just counting the numbers. So that's why the yogis, advanced yogis, they always say that you got to immerse your mind in God while doing the pranayama. So it's better to say the mantra. The mantra which your guru gave you, you can use that to see the duration. First you check it out, and then you see that how many times you want to say the mantra during inhalation, hold, and exhalation. So these are some of the variations you got to learn how to do it. But remember that ratio though. Ratio. So if you know the ratio is that inhalation has to be quick, exhalation prolonged, and retention even further prolonged. So coordinate that. Coordinate the exhalation, retention, and inhalation. If you want to do it with the mantra, or if you just have an idea, or with your mantra, or even if the numbers you want to use the same set of numbers for all 3, not just keep on going. Every mantra has a specific number of syllables. That's why it's very important to use. Yogis, they say that, hey, it's good to use that. Each syllable requires the same length of time to pronounce. So if you remember your mantra 4 times while exhaling, 8 times while retaining, twice while inhaling, you will preserve that 2-4-1 ratio. But you will see that after practicing for some time, you will have an idea. And the second pranayama mentioned in this verse is internal kumbhak. This is similar to the external kumbhak, except here you inhale first, retain, and then exhale. And you follow the same rules as in the step number 1. But you're just holding the breath again. Okay? The Bahya Kumbhak you are holding the breath out. And the third pranayam, stambha, vrittih, kumbhak. This is the most complex and difficult. Because in this practice, you retain your breath in the middle of the inhalation or the exhalation. So that means you did not inhale completely before you did the kumbhaka. Just in between. So retaining your breath in the middle of an inhalation is easier than retaining it in the middle of the exhalation. Okay. So this third pranayam is more difficult than the first two, but in the third one also, in the Bahya Kumbhak, all of a sudden retaining is more difficult. So keep that in mind. So retaining the breath in the middle of both inhalation and exhalation is extraordinarily difficult. But mastery of it, as yogis proclaim, they say you can even conquer death with this. That means you have that kind of a control over your breath. There's a very simple version of stambha, vrittih, kumbhak. Make sure that you adhere strictly to the standard rules for monitoring your inhalation, retention, and exhalation by space and time. Always inhale gently, smoothly, without noise or jerks. And in the middle of the inhalation, stop your breath. That means you have not inhaled fully, you stop your breath. Retain it 4 times longer than your inhalation. Then inhale again, filling your lungs fully. Retain again 4 times longer than the second inhalation. And at the end of the second inhalation, exhale as long as both inhalations combined. Okay, so it's like in the middle you stop, then inhale more and do the kumbhak. And you can see that monitoring your breath by the number of mantra is crucial in the practice of stambha, vrittih, kumbhak. And another thing you got to remember, the whole process has to be accomplished without exertion. Take a few normal breaths, then you got to repeat the cycle again. Practicing these 3 kumbhak pranayams expands the field of inhalation, exhalation, and retention. That means we are able to inhale, exhale, and retain our breath for a longer period of time. In Sanskrit, which is called dirgha. But it has to be without discomfort. And as the practice becomes refined, that means sukshma, we are able to feel and touch our pranayamah kosha. Because right now we can touch our anmaya kosha. We really don't know our pranayamah kosha. Only when some trouble comes, when we cannot breathe. The pranic sheath, the pranayamah kosha supports our body. We become aware of the deeper dimensions of our existence when we are aware of this pranayamah kosha. Using the power of Pran Shakti, this Pran Shakti is really ruling our inner world. we are able to take our mental clarity and concentration to a new height. As a student of yoga, we got to always remember what is our goal. Sure, ultimate goal is moksha. But right now, while we are living in this body, on this earth, while doing our duties, we got to cultivate a clear, calm, tranquil, one-pointed mind. Any time, in any circumstance, no matter what is happening around us, good times, not so good times, our mind, a yogi's mind is always calm, tranquil, one-pointed. We then turn the calm and one-pointed mind inward and allow it to bathe in the luminosity of our core being, which is the Atma. Because what do we do with this beautiful mind of ours? This Devata of ours merges with our core being. The longer our mind is infused with the luminosity of our core being, which is the Atma, the less chance we have of being affected by our deep-rooted habits. Those could be some addictions, the vasanas. And we recapture our innate power of discernment by this. And we have enough strength to face and conquer our most dreaded sanskar, which is avidya, ignorance, not knowing who we are. And we'll see that to accomplish all this, with the help of these pranayams, Patanjali is giving another highly potent pranayam in the next sutra, which we'll look at next week. So let's stop the class here today, and hopefully you got enough information here to practice your pranayams little longer also, with full faith also, with full concentration also. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visheshyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.